You want to know one of my favorite things about Grand Theft Auto? It's nothing. And it's being sincere, that nothing is my favorite part of Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto has so many layers and so many things and so many bells and whistles and everything else that draws you into it that nothing is what really gets me. What do I mean by nothing? Because obviously I can't just mean nothing, right? But to a degree, I mean nothing. The emptiness of things to do, the vast areas that are unexplored, because why would you go there? They're not necessary, they're just more to fill a void. My favorite parts of Grand Theft Auto are these areas that serve no real purpose and honestly give us nothing in the grander sense of scale other than somewhere to be. Why is that? Well, because they make the rest of the world matter. Without them, every square inch of this map would matter, and that doesn't need to happen. We need areas that don't matter. So I like to take my time and really sit down and look at these areas and appreciate them for what they are. My name is Fez. I make content on GTA 6 related ideology and concepts. In doing that, I have to talk about Grand Theft Auto 5, 4, and Red Dead 2 to really understand where we're going with GTA 6. Obviously, I cannot be talking about GTA 6. None of us have played it. So, I talk about my favorite aspects of the other games and things I find interesting, and I relate them back to GTA 6. So, if that sounds interesting to you, why don't you come with me while I ask a very simple question. Why do these mundane, dead areas matter to Grand Theft Auto 6? I'm going to start with Grand Theft Auto 5 here, and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite aspects of the whole of Grand Theft Auto 5 that, honest to God, gets overlooked more times than not. Backyards are awesome. Now, you've probably wandered around a few backyards in Grand Theft Auto 5. It's inevitable, you just will. And most of them are pretty cool, right? They've got tennis courts, or pools, or big open land that has a very scenic view, but I'm not talking directly about these backyards. I'm talking more about these backyards. These are the backyards that we're far more commonly used to. I don't know about you, but I don't have a fucking 80-foot pool in my backyard overlooking a fucking $1 million view. I have a yard with 3 fenced-in walls and a shitty patch of grass that does not much for me. Maybe a plastic table and chairs, and that is about it. Why the hell would Rockstar bother to incorporate this really boring and mundane area? It's like, who cares? Well, that's the thing, is I care, and you care, you just don't know that you care. The beauty of these kind of areas is that if they weren't here, if they didn't exist, you'd kind of go, oh, it's stupid that there's no backyard, or why can't I go around the back of this house, or all that kind of stuff, right? It's like a verticality issue. You see it, therefore you should be able to get to it, and that makes sense. As a sort of urban exploration, you have this concept and understanding that this should be there, therefore I should be able to get there. If they hadn't made it, you'd kind of look at it and be very confused as to where this space is. And these spaces are so varied and dynamic that it amazes me that they bothered to put so much effort into them. These could very easily be carbon copied, pasted across the map, and we wouldn't really notice. But one of my favorite backyard style areas is actually down here at this location around what would be, I guess, a block of flats, apartments, conjoined areas. It's like a shared backyard down this really sad, depressing alley that looks like this. Like, imagine this is your backyard, and maybe this is resonating for me a little bit because I've had back areas when I've lived in apartment blocks and in my university halls that remind me of this area. It's a small area where you can go, you can sit down, you can have a cigarette, you can maybe sit out here for a few hours when the sun does creep through those buildings right at the back and get on that backyard for just a few minutes of time. And really, that's it, right? It's a really depressingly murky area because it's so housed in by all these taller buildings around it that it really doesn't see that much daylight. But to somebody, in Los Santos, this is their respite. This is the thing that is their area of solitude for just a few minutes each day. I love this little area so much because it offers nothing. Genuinely, it offers nothing. It is one of the fucking worst places I've ever seen. But it's so good that someone thought to make this shit area. I love it. I genuinely do. Did you know there are public restrooms in Grand Theft Auto 5? Yeah, I bet you probably kind of had an idea, but like they're scattered around pretty often places, but we can't really go into them because, I don't know, maybe they're trying to make sure we don't Dr. Disrespect anyone. I don't know, but it's weird that they're around the place, but we can't see them. There's both male and female toilets, and they're pretty much scattered in all major locations, but the thing that gets me the most is they're put in places that make 100% perfect logical sense. Down on the beach, at a park, at a gas station, out in the middle of nowhere where you would be at the beach, far out in the forest. Like, there's loads of examples of these public bathrooms, and they're nothing, right? They do nada, but we bothered to essentially put the idea and the logic that, hey, these are here. I don't know why, it's just one of my favorite small nothingness details that doesn't matter, but does at the same time. It's something that I truly, truly love about these games, and I just wanted to highlight it because no one's ever going to talk about the public restrooms in GTA 5, and I wanted to, so there you go. Another one I really wanted to touch on was these strip mall parking lots and these strip malls themselves. Since going to America and really getting an understanding and appreciation for your small strip malled areas, I find them insanely charming, and maybe this is me as a Brit talking, but there is something about them that really does add just a little something to this sort of rural town America ideology and vibe, even though we're in California. Maybe it's because when I do go over to America, I've gone down to the south quite often, but I find these strip malls just awesome. Little parking lot, a couple of shops that really don't offer much, but there's something about them that is charming in a weird way, and we drive past them all the time, so I don't know, there's just something here that makes me feel a little sense of Americana in a bigger, wider city where it's not needed. I mean, you take something like the bigger plaza areas that have the big open shop fronts and the gorgeous sort of landscaping and all that sort of stuff that exists, and then mash them with this very dull, cheap and easy strip mall, and there's something about that contrast that is just nice, but adds so much, but so little at the same time. One of my other favorite things is when you guys hit the subscribe button down below and like the video. I really do love it when you do that, and it means a lot, actually. It does mean so much. Like, these nothing areas in Grand Theft Auto mean so much to me, that means even more. We are rapidly approaching 3,500 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough. You guys truly mean everything to me, and you keep me going every week with these videos, so thank you so much for your support. Let's crack on. One of my other favorite things about this game is how much dense, dank, rubbish forest there is off to the far right of the map. And this is a really dull one, and I 100% agree with you, so let me just quickly explain why. This area feels like the boundary of the map in a way I can't explain. There is so much detail and so much world and so much brevity and life in Grand Theft Auto 5 that this area of the map where it's just forest feels like when the developers reached like the final few hours and went, fuck it, that'll do. There is nothing here. It is so fucking empty. But I don't know. I find something incredibly humanizing about this area of the map that just feels like, look, we've done all of this. Just give us a pass on this small area. And I think it's endearing. I mean, look, there are very, very talented people behind these games, but they've worked God knows how many hours, and it gets to a point where they physically don't have enough time, or possibly the console limitations have absolutely hit their max. They just can't do any more with the world, so this is their solution. And I find it awesome, because the thing with these games is, yes, they are beautiful, truly amazing worlds and lands for us to virtually go and visit and live in. But if they were a second life, if they really were perfect to a degree, that beauty of it being something made would be lost. There is something incredibly human and incredibly real that I think all of us can relate to about this little area of forest that is so obviously copy and pasted and done in by this person or team that just went, fuck it. It's endearing to me. That's all. I just find it endearing. That's how it was made. One of the final things I want to talk about quickly as the last thing is these beautiful footbridges that never get used. I love these footbridges, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I used to roleplay, so one of the main things that I would do in roleplay is I would look for ways to traverse around the map that wasn't just driving, because sometimes you need to be on the run or get away from people or just outthink people, so being on foot generally is a better way of getting around sometimes. Footbridges like this are one of my favorite architectural oversights of this entire game. Why? Because who the hell uses these in single player? I'll be really honest with you, until I started doing roleplay where I was purposefully looking for these things, I never even noticed they exist. There are so many of them that are just scattered throughout the map, these little walkways over busy roads or stretches of highway or anything. And they just offer this little something, this verticality to the world that, I don't know, we don't need, but is there. And again, if it wasn't there, would you notice it? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, but it adds something by it being there. It means that, hey, we thought about how do these pedestrians get from the top of this really busy stretch of area down what would be essentially a very steep cliff and across to this beach over here. This is one of my favorite bridges in the entire game because of how much expansiveness there is on the way that it works. It comes all the way from up here to down here. There is such a verticality stretch to this bridge. It's great, but do you notice it? Like, no, of course you don't, but it's good and I love it and it matters, and I adore this kind of stuff. I adore this kind of stuff. It's nerdy, it's stupid, it's dumb, but my god, does it matter. And I love this kind of ideology. People say that I like to ramble about nothingness, and that is correct, because one of my favorite things to do is talk about the nothingness details about Grand Theft Auto. Not every video needs to have a fucking point. Not every video needs to be a deep dive in the 27,000 hours of lore on fucking this, that, and the other. You don't need it all the time. Yes, those channels are great, and yes, they are some really interesting concept, but who cares that I want to talk about that when it's already been spoken about? What I would rather speak about is, hey, I just really like this cool little thing that maybe you overlooked or never really put much thought into. Is it talking about nothing? Sure, yeah, totally. But someone at Rockstar has to talk about the nothingness as well. Someone at Rockstar has to go into those meetings and go, how many times do you think we need to put a newspaper stand on the side of the road? Who cares? Who cares about these newspaper stands? But at the same time, you'd notice them if they weren't there. I just love these little details, and if that's boring to you, I'm so sorry. I know I don't talk about GTA 6. It's not possible for me to. What I like to talk about is these nothingness details that will add to GTA 6, and this is where I get onto the part where I talk about GTA 6. Why do I think these things matter? Because these are things that we worked on with technical limitations back in 2013. We always say Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013, but there's a underlying current to that is Grand Theft Auto 5 was being worked on from like 2009, 2010. Realistically, we are always playing just a little bit behind 2013, so it's more like 2012's limitations and of course the console limitations of the time. Whatever was added then is what was possible then, and I think so much more is possible now that these mundane details will be cranked up to 11 in Grand Theft Auto 6 in various different ways, from small kiosks to buildings that don't matter to parking structures that are unnecessary in a game where you never need to park. I hope there is accessible public toilets. Why? Because I just think it would be cool. I don't know why. I hope there are train stations that I've spoken about before. Someone brought up the concept of boat taxis, and ever since I've heard this concept, I cannot get the idea of how much fun that would be out of my head. I love the nothingness in these games. I love the moments where I just get to sit and absorb everything these games have to offer to me. I adore those moments more than I can express to you. They are what makes the experience worth it to me. Yes, the storyline will be epic. Yes, the game itself and the setting will be awesome to explore. But the thing that 12, 13 years later I still want to talk about are the fucking mundanity, the boring shit, garbage aspects of this game that shouldn't matter, because these things are what makes this world building so much fun to explore. They didn't have to think about it. They didn't have to do it. They didn't have to make it so that there was domesticated wild cats roaming around the area like they belonged to someone nearby, but they not anywhere. They didn't need to do this, but they did. Why? Because Rockstar's cracked. I don't know. But I love talking about it, and I think it's awesome. And that's the video for this week. Please let me know down below your favorite mundane detail from GTA or Red Dead or anything. I would just love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you on Wednesday for another midweek video. Please like and subscribe. Have an amazing week and take care.